Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive: to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to a new episode of Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by podcast, which focuses on every sector of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, movie, animation, directors, merchandise, and much, much more. Plotting your course for this final voyage of the USS Cerritos is your core Trek crew. I'm Wayne Whited.
I'm David Burns.
And I'm Scott Hoffman.
And today we are talking about the third episode of the fifth season of Star Trek Lower Decks, titled The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel, written by Stephanie Amante Ritter and directed by Brandon Williams. Scott, why don't you give us a short summary of the episode?
Sure. Well, the USS Cerritos is docked at Cosmic Duchess, a moon-sized interstellar cruise ship that's plagued by two mini-missions. One away team is focused on a glump of nanites that's beginning to devour as much metal and energy as it can touch. That puts Mariner with her girlfriend Jennifer, which she thought she broke up with last season, in the lead of T'Lyn, Rutherford, and Tendi as they chase Glumpus before it can replicate to dangerous proportions. The other team is tracking down a rogue admiral who's choosing to have his apocalypse right about now. That team finds Ransom leading a reluctant Boimler and a frustrated Billups deep into the Admiral's Temple of Dread. This one feels like a bottle episode that's a fun ride from start to finish, with a hint of what might be coming in the future.
Well, now we're starting to see the beginnings of a season-wide plot in this episode. The first two episodes, which we covered in our last podcast, saw the USS Cerritos and its crew thrown into a parallel but similar universe, and then helping the planet Targalus 9 adjust to their new economy. All while Lieutenant Tendi dealt with the debt that she owed to her sister back on her home planet of Orion. We still have quite a journey ahead of us until we reach the finish line. So this is red alert, folks. There are spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the episode yet, please tumble your way down a snowy mountain to the nearest television set to catch it on Paramount Plus. Then come back and rejoin us for this discussion. All right, what did you guys think of this episode?
So I really enjoyed this episode. Like as Scott said, it felt like more of a bottle episode, even though it's got hints of what's to come in this season. But I love the Boimler, Ransom, and Billups scenes. I found that absolutely hysterical in this episode. But one of the things I really enjoyed was the fact that they gave a lot of fans out there, they wanted that wrap up with the relationship between Mariner and Jennifer. And, because I think, was it season 3 episode Trusted Sources, I believe it was? Where they just kind of okay, we're not going to talk about this anymore. Oh, well, a lot of fans really wanted that. And I love the fact that they went back to do that. And they had fun with it in this episode.
Yeah. I mean, Jennifer's role, I'll talk about it a little bit later, was one of the highlights of this episode for me. Especially on a second watch, knowing how she was kind of, going through some motions to kind of play with Mariner. I thought that was expertly done. One of my first favorite parts about this is seeing that it was directed by Brandon Williams. I love seeing his name every single time. I don't mind saying my favorite director on Lower Decks. We had a great conversation with him, and I'd love to have him back.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that subplot. I had to go back and watch Trusted Sources because, it completely slipped my mind. But I really liked how it was dealt with in this episode. I feel for Mariner, how she had managed it, trying to avoid and just assume that it was over with. I that emotional confrontation, I understand where she's coming from, but I liked how they worked it all out at the end. That was another loose thread that they closed again in this season. You can start feel that beginnings of the end with this, that they're doing that. But I'm glad they are doing that, because, like you said, David, a lot of people were upset.
Yeah,
that they kind of just dropped it and never brought it back.
I did connect with that character though. When you're right, I love when things work themselves out and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So when she was trying to make that happen in here, I was like, I love it. She was working so hard to make that happen. I'm like, hey, yeah. I can relate to that.
I also got to give it to Stephanie Amante Ritter for the D&D elements of this one. The fact that when they started out with Ransom teeing it up as a side quest, and the D&D nerd of me was like, ooh, what's this? And then the fact that they had the nanite swarm form into a D20 shaped chaos engine that's like rolling through town, and you can see it kind of making decisions, like it'll roll past a crowd, then stop.
That's the first thing I thought of.
And come back from munchies. And I was like, oh man. So good to see some D&D nerd love in there.
It was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. And I think at first it was called the Glumpus. Isn't that what
yes.
They first started calling it, which I absolutely was hysterical. I love it when they come up with names in the show that are just really, that's so silly, but that is so funny at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and then Mariner goes as far as to say, oh, it's a, how do you say that? Icosahedron?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I ain't even going to try that.
D20 is a lot easier. Yeah.
I got to admit that of the two storylines, I kind of liked Boimler's the best. I laughed all the way through that.
I did too.
He's probably going to be turning out to be my favorite character of the entire series. I laughed so hard when he was talking to the lieutenant that had come back from his mission. And it was the performance that actor gave. It was so dramatic, and my hand. I lost my hands. I'm like,
yeah. Gosh, I mean, they're going to grow me back new ones, but,
right?
Yeah,
but still, just my hands.
I know we talked last time about Boimler trying to grow in his wrecker beard. The glacial pace of Boimler's facial hair growth.
Yeah, it didn't look like it's grown very much.
They put some extra lines on the bottom, and that's it. So
yeah.
That'll be nice to kind of watch as we go through.
I think another character that I really enjoyed in this was Talon's her growth a little bit. She's a Vulcan, but we get to see a different side of her a little bit here. Her love of was a crock in the rocks.
Yeah.
Her love of that. You really you didn't expect that, especially coming from a Vulcan. So getting to see her have that fun and that connection to it, I thought that was blessed.
She's truly now part of the lower decks crew. Yeah. I mean, she's just as important as the main characters.
Mm-hmm. And as much as we've been going to conventions to have the autograph there at the end, and she's like, "This has no scientific purpose. It's now,
right.
It's graffitied or something like that. So like, it doesn't do anything." She's like, "You mean to recycle it?" She's like, "No, I'll keep it to study handwriting."
So there were so many parts of this episode that I just busted out laughing, and one of the reasons why I loved this episode. But the one that really got me was when Boimler was just flying down the mountain, and he went out of control and then went off the cliff. Yeah. And you just see this extended fall as he falls and falls, and the scream that he made. It was perfect. Yeah. I was hoping, like, can we get a Goofy scream here? Because
I was gonna say he's channeling his Goofy.
This episode does confirm, though, that there is a overlying story to this season, but the quantum fissures are going to remain a plot point. So I'm curious as to where they're going with this. The little ship, the little ship that looks like Voyager, but it wasn't. I can't remember what the name of it now. I'm curious as to what they're doing with that. I still have no idea, but it should be interesting.
Yeah, when that popped up, I was like, so this is what was going to happen this season. Okay, cool. Yeah. That opens up a lot of things that could happen, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially with how they're exploring it. It's not just, in this universe, we use daggers. In this universe, we all have mustaches. In this universe, whatever. Usually where we see that kind of evil kind of opposite universe, and obviously we got a little bit of a taste of something different last time, but now we're going with different proportions. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we could be seeing, like, a ship piloted by koalas or by ducks or by, live action or whatever. So they're showing that there's it almost seems like they're kind of bracing us to say, like, we're going to go in some interesting places, so just get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sky's the limit with that too. I mean,
it is. By the way, Wayne, that ship was the USS Endeavour.
Oh, thank you.
And it was commanded by Captain Tercel. If you notice, they were using the Next Generation uniforms.
I did notice that. Yeah,
I thought that was awesome.
Was odd though. I mean, is there a little bit of a time difference there? She shouldn't be wearing those uniforms,
right? So, what's that all about? I don't know. There's all kinds of things going on. It's going to get wacky.
Their future is in the hands of an admiral that's in charge of milking space whales.
Okay, another thing when I lost it was Admiral Messis. I don't want to go to Starbase 80.
Yeah. That would be the spin-off shorts we get from this afterward would be all these Starbase 80s things.
Please do, please.
Yeah, and we've talked so much, especially when we were reviewing the Next Generation, about admirals and how they seem to go wrong, and this episode really put that center stage right there. That's one of the best things the Lower Decks does is they take these silly bits of Star Trek and throw them right in your face.
Yep.
Well, it was great timing that, Dave, you and I had just recently talked about Apocalypse Now on a Film 45, right?
Yep.
So it finally gave me the context to appreciate that so much more.
It does. You're right. Absolutely. And I didn't think of it that way, Scott. So that's a good bring up, man. Yeah. What I love about Lower Decks is the fact it can have so much fun, and it can just make you laugh. And I'm talking belly laugh. And you get so many tidbits of stuff and Easter eggs and all kinds of stuff from all the different worlds of Star Trek. But you still get good meanings and characters in each episode. You get something that you care about, and you get something that is pulled out of these characters. And I feel like Boimler in this one, you really get to start to see his path growing more and more. He's becoming more confident because, as you know, when he's on doing his side quest here, he thinks that he's there to do all the dangerous stuff, that he's going to get hurt. When in fact that wasn't the case. He was actually invited because they actually respect him. They know that he makes good decisions, and when they say that to him, it kind of catches him off guard. But I really love that about this show, how it just brings those things out in these little characters.
Yeah, they're pushing through his own misconceptions.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Ransom has had this faith in them the entire time, but he just never let himself see that or believe that.
Right.
So when he's finally getting through that, it's unlocking a lot of his potential. I think we're seeing a similar thing with Mariner, where she's just like, oh, so if I just come out and start talking about these things, then it'll help me get a little bit further. Like if I use communication, that will help. And yeah, so I like that early on in the season, they're doing a lot of that unlocking of their potential so that we can see a lot more happen with the rest of the series.
And I think that was part of the plan, but I'm guessing they're kind of rushed a little bit since they know they have to wrap everything up in this final season. But I'm glad that they're doing that and giving the fans that, because as you all know, we all love to see character development and characters that we love through Star Trek. You want to see that growth, that story arc, and we're really starting to see these characters shine.
Yeah, and another thing along with the growth is closure as well.
Yes.
We got to have that. We didn't get that for years with the Next Generation, and I feel that we're going to get that with this show. I know it was I don't think they knew exactly when they were making this that the show is going to be this final season, but I still feel that we're going to get some satisfaction of seeing the characters grow and become good officers, which is good closure for these characters that we followed.
Absolutely. And who knows, down the road we may get some live action with these characters.
I think we will.
Fantastic.
That'd be nice.
To be honest, I really don't think this is the last we'll see of Lower Decks. I really don't.
Yeah, it's too popular.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see more. I know we will.
All right, so now that we've given our opinions and thoughts on the episode, let's take a look at the characters themselves. Which character do you think shines the most this week, David?
I kind of let it out of the bag a little bit ago. It's Boimler. Seeing him grow some more. Again, he thought he was just being a red shirt, and it turns out that he actually was important, and he was picked for the very reason. I'm glad to see he's getting the respect that he deserves, and he's realizing that with confidence.
Scott?
I'm going to give my vote to Jennifer this week. for staying with the illusion, so that Mariner will finally give the closure to the relationship, and just having fun with the character. Um, Props to Lauren Lapkus for her role, for her voice work on that. I think it was very well done. And I think it's one of those where on rewatch, you see how she was kind of messing with Mariner the entire time. I just think that was well done.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you, Wayne?
Yeah, well, it's really hard to choose in this episode because there were a lot of characters that did get center stage. Mariner's story was great, just like what you said. To Lynn, another good one. But for this week, David's reading my notes because I said Boimler for pretty much almost the same reasons. The way he's grown into his lieutenant rank, he's quickly becoming a good officer. It really is. Ransom and Billups revealed why they needed him, because he's dependable, he's reliable, he's wiry. He realized all those things, and it was a real boost in his confidence, and it helped him defeat the Admiral Milius. Plus, I chose him because that scream.
Yep. It's funny that the fact. Remember, we talked about the Lower Decks episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and how much we all loved that episode. And you got to see a side of Star Trek. You got to see a side of a ship that you never got to see. Yeah. It's so wonderful that they took that concept and turned that into this animation that we get to see, and how it has just grown and makes you fall in love with these characters and seeing them grow and become these officers. Because what if we'd seen these kind of characters with like Picard or Riker or any of them when they were young and in Starfleet? How fantastic would that have been to see them when they were first starting their careers and growing, So it's really neat to get to see this kind of stuff. And, these creators should pat themselves on the back because they're doing a fantastic job with it.
Well, we know that Picard, he was a little crazy in his youth and wild. So I think he would have fit pretty good with these characters.
Yes, he would have. For sure.
Yeah. All right, if you had to choose to be any character that appeared in this episode, which one would it be and why?
So my choice this time will be Rutherford, because he's
good choice.
Basically helping to drive a D-20 through the streets.
Oh yeah,
and figuring out how to stop the swarm. It just looks like, I don't know. I mean, yes, do you want to be in the middle of that mess? Probably not. But then again, it was like this, like a gyroscope kind of thing. Like it was like stable in the middle of it the whole time, not like he's tumbling around in a laundry on a washing machine or something.
It looked like
but
it
just
looked
like
fun.
that would have been fun.
It did.
It looked a lot of fun.
And if they had worked out how to kind of like talk to the nanites, it would have been, I don't know. They could have done some interesting things.
They could have.
Yeah.
Dave, what about you?
So I'm going to take a little page out of your book, Scott, and I'm going to pick Jennifer on this one, just for the mere fact that I'm sure when we were all younger, we had some kind of situation where a relationship didn't go as good as it should have went, and it was broke off, and we never really got that closure that we wanted. So the fact that Jennifer actually gets that, and you don't realize it at first that she's in on it, she knows that they broke up. She's just playing with Mariner. So I absolutely love that, and that they still become really good friends at the end. I respect that, and I loved her character in this. Wayne, what about you?
Well, I'm going to choose to Lynn. I said before that the way she's integrated herself with the crew, but even though she's a Vulcan, she seems to be having the time of her life with them. It really is. I love how she saved the day in this episode, against the nanites by playing those vibe tubes. And then that final scene with the autograph. I mean, we all relate to that. I just love that. Love that scene. That was probably out of the whole thing, my single favorite little bit from the episode.
Yep.
All right, now comes my favorite part, where we dive deep into the episode and see if we can't pull out any Easter eggs. Of course we can. It wouldn't be Lower Decks without them. Yeah. Did you guys find any Easter eggs?
The one about them using the Next Generation uniforms, the USS Endeavor, I saw that one. I believe there was like the black bodysuits that Boimler was talking about. That was in Chain of Command Part 1, I think. That's correct.
Was. Yep.
I think that's really all I picked up on. Wayne, I'm sure you picked up on a ton of them.
Well, I had one to pile on. Just that the Admiral Milius, apparently his name is a reference to the screenwriter of Apocalypse Now.
Oh.
John Milius.
Okay, yeah.
I never made that connection.
I didn't either.
Yes, it has to be. Oh,
That's pretty cool.
That
Congrats,
is.
Scott.
Wayne, what about you? Open up the rest of the chest.
Right.
All right. Well, this is the first time that we get to see the Gallimites and their transparent skulls. This race was mentioned many, many times on Deep Space Nine, but we never got to see them. Lieutenant Dax had dated Captain Bidet, who was a Gelinite. Excuse me, a Gallimite. Getting my shows mixed up to get there. Those vibe tubes that Delenn plays were previously seen on the first season Next Generation episode, We'll Always Have Paris. It was played by a musician in the Café des Artistes. And then, of course, Boimler mentions the Galaxy's Child whale when Admiral Ilias mentions it. Of course, that's from the TNG episode Galaxy's Child.
Yep.
And finally, I'm not really sure if this is an Easter egg. I think it was just a little wink, wink, nod here that they were giving. But Billups orders something on the planet called a Silurian colada, and I think that's just a little bit of a hint to the Silurians from Doctor Who.
Oh, nice.
Some good ones in this one for sure.
Yep. I think we've said this kind of thing before, but I'll just echo, like, there are so many deep cuts that go way over people's heads, but they're so tailored to the Star Trek fan base, obviously. So I would just ask, if you're a Star Trek fan, obviously you're listening to this show. Otherwise, why are you here? I mean, thanks for being here, but maybe it's an odd left turn. But if you know someone who is into Star Trek, and whatever their connection to the universe might be, it's worth suggesting this, because little tiny cuts like this will it'll get one laugh, but it won't be the only one that you have. There are so many others to be unpacked. Even if they're not necessarily a fan of animation, it's part of the charm of this. It's part of the vehicle of it, that they're able to do so many more things without limitations that they'd have in the physical world. So definitely pass it on to somebody. It's got something for everybody.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've noticed a lot on the presence of the Star Trek fan websites and on Facebook that some people they won't watch the show, they won't acknowledge it because it's animation, and that, in my opinion, is a really, really wrong, because they have spent over the last 5 years to really try to integrate this into the Star Trek universe perfectly, and it does. Just because it's animated doesn't mean it's not part of the Star Trek lore. It is. It's worth watching. All you're doing is not allowing you to watch something good. You're not giving yourself the chance to see something, a good part of Star Trek. Give it a chance.
There's fans like that in Star Wars too, who don't want to watch the Clone Wars or Rebels or any of that, and you are just not doing yourself any favors here, because all this animation is fantastic, and it is part of these worlds.
Yeah. And so that's it for this episode of Phasers Set to Stuns. Look at Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 3. We'd like to open a channel to our listeners and hear just what you thought about the most recent episode and the season in general. Who knows, we might even mention you on a future show. Of course, you can email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you're looking for more exclusive content or swag, you can join our Patreon and find out what incredible gems are hidden within.
One more thing I'll add in here.
Okay.
Just another extra. Fans of Lower Decks, fans of Star Trek, if you're new to this, we discovered last season, I think it was, there's a site called titmousestuff.com that has a great set of shirts that are dedicated to Lower Decks. And I wanted to call it out this time because there's a t-shirt design by Jack Quaid.
Okay.
As the latest drop. They have a lot of mystery stuff that's coming out. It's a great shop. So if you're a fan of Star Trek, fan of the show, go and check it out. There's more to be revealed. It's not the first shirt that's been designed by the crew. I think Tawny Newsome also had a drop with their t-shirt club, essentially. I think it's too late to sign up for that now, but keep an eye on the site, and holidays are coming up. It's a great place to stock up.
And there's some great designs on there too.
And our friend Brandon, who directed this episode, is also mentioned that when we interviewed him.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So, absolutely.
So check it out.
Thank you, Scott and David, for joining me and the listeners for another fascinating episode. Next week, we take a look at episode 4, which is titled A Farewell to Farms. We look forward to returning to the decks of the Cerritos again next week for Phasers Set to Stun.